Today, we're stepping into the world of Geronimo, a time when chaos was the norm. Imagine being caught between two forces, both powerful and determined to bring you down. That's exactly where Geronimo found himself. The Americans saw him as a threat, and the Mexicans deemed him dangerous. It wasn't the kind of life anyone would choose, yet Geronimo faced this reality daily, navigating a world filled with conflict and danger.
And that brings up a very intriguing question. How did one man manage to stand against such overwhelming odds? How could he, amidst all this chaos, make such a significant mark? Geronimo's story is not just about survival. It's about resilience and leadership in its truest form. We're going to dive deep into his life, his choices, and the events that shaped his legacy. Trust me, it's a story full of surprises and lessons.
Let's start from the very beginning. Geronimo was born into a world of conflict in Turkey Creek, Arizona, in 1829. He was part of the Bedonkohe Band, which was one of the smaller groups of the Cheyenne Apache. From a young age, he experienced the struggles and challenges of preserving his people's way of life. His birth name was Goyakla, which meant the one who yawns. But later he would be known as Geronimo, a name that would strike fear into his enemies.
Geronimo's early years were characterized by frequent violent encounters. The Apache people, including Geronimo, were constantly at odds with their Spanish and later Mexican neighbors. Imagine growing up understanding that survival meant being ready to fight at any moment. This environment shaped young Geronimo, building the strong foundation of resilience that would define his entire life. He witnessed and even participated in raids from a very young age, preparing him for the tumultuous years that lay ahead.
These raids and conflicts were more than just a part of his childhood. They were ingrained in his daily life. Young Geronimo grew up with stories of battles and the bravery of Apache warriors like Mangus Coloradas, a chief who fought tirelessly against Mexican forces. These stories and experiences played a crucial role in developing Geronimo's sense of identity and purpose. Living in a world where battles and survival were interwoven taught him skills and strategies that he would later use in his own battles.
Geronimo's early exposure to such harsh realities undoubtedly steered him toward becoming a warrior himself. It's important to understand that his choices were deeply influenced by these experiences. Each raid, each skirmish, each story about fallen warriors, and each narrow escape from danger added layers to his already complex character. These elements prepared Geronimo to face the future challenges with an unwavering spirit and determination to defend his people, no matter the cost.
After all the conflicts Geronimo faced as a child, a particularly dreadful event in 1858 marked a turning point. While Geronimo and other men were on a trading trip, their camp was attacked by Mexican troops. This surprise attack was brutal and devastating. They destroyed the camp, took supplies, and killed many of Geronimo's people. On returning, Geronimo faced the horrifying truth. His mother, his wife, and his children were among the dead. This tragic loss shook him to his core.
This terrible moment planted a deep-seated hatred in Geronimo's heart against the Mexicans, fueling a desire for revenge that would drive him for years to come. After his loss, Geronimo withdrew into the forest to mourn, where he reportedly experienced a spiritual vision. He believed a voice promised him protection, saying that no gun could kill him. This promise of divine protection emboldened Geronimo, and he returned to his people with a renewed sense of purpose and unshakable courage.
It's fascinating how this belief seemed to work in his favor. Geronimo's courage was legendary. He often faced gunfire without fear, believing he was protected by forces beyond this world. This encounter in the forest was more than just an event. It became a part of Geronimo's legend. It painted him as a man not bound by human limits. This perceived divine protection fueled his drive during battles and raids, giving him confidence and making him a formidable figure to his enemies.
The influence of his vision was significant. It might sound like a tale from a storybook, but to Geronimo and those around him, it was real and powerful. This spiritual experience provided reassurance and painted his mission as a just and righteous cause. It emboldened him and validated his relentless pursuit of vengeance. This was an important aspect of his identity, shaping how he led and inspired his people during such turbulent times. His life is a testament to the power of belief and resilience in the face of overwhelming odds.
Geronimo earned a reputation as a warrior without fear. His acts during raids, especially against the Mexicans, showcased a blend of bravery and strategic brilliance. Known for his fierce attacks and ability to evade capture, he led his people with determination. Tales of his exploits were shared widely, illustrating a relentless figure. He was not just a leader in battles, but a symbol of resistance for his people. His actions inspired many and cemented his place in history.
This reputation undeniably affected the relationship between the Apache and Mexicans. For years, violence persisted, creating a cycle of retaliation. One attack led to another, fueling mistrust and hostility. Each side viewed their actions as justified revenge or preemptive measures. This never-ending cycle shaped the course of their interactions. Yet, amid this turmoil, Geronimo continued his stand, driven by personal loss and responsibility to protect his people from ongoing threats.
Speaking of these raids, they were often swift and carefully planned. Geronimo was known to use the element of surprise to his advantage. He would lead his warriors across harsh terrains, attacking settlements, and retreating into the safety of the landscape. These tactics not only showcased his tactical acumen, but also kept the Mexicans on edge. By keeping them guessing about his next move, he managed to maintain control over the region for quite some time.
The psychological impact of Geronimo's raids cannot be underestimated. To the Mexicans, he seemed unpredictable and unstoppable. His ability to vanish as quickly as he appeared added to his legendary status. However, this constant state of warfare took a toll on both sides. The Apache faced relentless pressures, while the Mexicans were constantly on alert, anticipating Geronimo's next move. This ongoing conflict added layers of complexity to their already strained relationships.
Over time, Geronimo's raids became more than just acts of revenge. They were a fight for survival. For him and his band, these attacks served multiple purposes: to obtain resources and to strike fear into their opponents. Even though such acts involved great risk, Geronimo showed unwavering commitment, driven by a mix of personal vendetta and the overarching goal of safeguarding the Apache way of life against external threats.
This era highlights a grim reality of the time. The Apache society depended on these raids as part of their survival strategy. Resource acquisition was as important as protecting their own lands. This cyclical violence continued to define the relations between the Apache and their neighbors, shaping a world where trust was scarce. Geronimo's leadership in these times was crucial, and his prowess became a beacon of hope and defiance for his people.
Now let's turn our attention to Geronimo's encounters with another significant power, the Americans. After the Mexican-American War, everything changed for the Apache. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo in 1848 was a turning point, with Mexico ceding a vast portion of its territory to the United States. This land included areas that the Apache considered home. With this shift, the Apache found themselves facing an entirely new threat. American forces moved into these lands, bringing their own conflicts and pressures.
Exactly. This created a new dynamic for the Apache people. Initially, Geronimo did not directly engage with the American military. Instead, leaders like Mangus Coloradas and Cochise took the lead in resisting the American advance. They were at the forefront of the struggle, fighting to keep their people's lands and way of life intact. Geronimo, during this time, observed and learned from these leaders, understanding the strategies and tactics needed to cope with this new adversary.
The initial interactions with the American forces were marked by tension and suspicion. This was a period of adaptation for Geronimo and his followers. The Apache had to find ways to deal with the American soldiers who now roamed their lands. Every move was scrutinized, every decision carefully weighed. It was a delicate balance to maintain peace while also preparing for inevitable conflict. The settlers brought new challenges, but Geronimo was not one to easily back down.
Indeed, despite the growing American presence, there was a sense of unity among the Apache. Many tribes came together to resist this new threat collectively. Collaboration was key in these difficult times. Leaders from various Apache groups coordinated their efforts, understanding that they were stronger together. Geronimo played a crucial role in these cooperative efforts, showcasing his skills as a leader and warrior. His ability to unite different factions under a common cause was instrumental.
One of the most remarkable aspects of Geronimo's approach was his adaptability. As he learned to navigate the complexities of interacting with American forces, he also developed strategies to protect his people. He wasn't the leader in formal terms, but his influence was undeniable. He led his band through tough negotiations, ever ready to defend their lands if diplomacy failed. Geronimo's actions were driven not just by survival, but by a sense of responsibility to his people.
Absolutely. And this era in Geronimo's life was characterized by a clear recognition of the changing world around him. While the Americans brought new technology and different forms of warfare, Geronimo showed remarkable resilience and ability to adapt. His encounters with the Americans marked a new chapter in his ongoing fight to preserve his people's way of life. This resistance against overwhelming odds further cemented his status as a steadfast defender of the Apache, a testament to his enduring legacy.
Let's dive into the dramatic times known as the Apache Wars. These were a series of conflicts primarily between the Apache tribes and the United States military. Geronimo played a significant role during these turbulent years. It was a struggle for survival and a fierce defense of the Apache way of life. Geronimo, being a leader known for his bravery and skill, was at the forefront, navigating these challenges with determination.
During these wars, we cannot forget the influence of leaders like Mangus Coloradas and Cochise. They were pivotal figures, rallying the Apache people to stand against those who threatened their homes. Mangus Coloradas was a respected chief, and Cochise, known for his leadership qualities, inspired many. These figures worked alongside Geronimo, using their knowledge to strategize battles and resist the encroachment of their territories with remarkable courage.
The tactics used during the Apache Wars were brutal and ruthless, with both sides applying harsh measures. The Apache, familiar with the challenging landscape, used their knowledge effectively, conducting surprise attacks and raids. Geronimo and his warriors knew the harsh terrains well and could disappear into them with ease, making it hard for their pursuers to track them down. This skill kept their adversaries on their toes, adding an element of unpredictability to the battles.
From the other side, the United States military implemented their own severe strategies. They focused on wearing down the Apache by depleting their resources, hoping to break their will to fight. It was a relentless campaign marked by widespread clashes. Despite their efforts, the military found it challenging to fully subdue the Apache warriors. Geronimo's relentless spirit ensured that the struggle continued, embodying the resistance of his people against overwhelming odds.
During these years of conflict, Geronimo's strategic mind was a formidable asset. His ability to lead raids effectively and protect his people demonstrated his exceptional leadership qualities. The Apache Wars were not just about skirmishes, they were about preserving a way of life against the tide of change. Geronimo's actions during battles were crucial in inspiring his people to continue resisting, despite facing a powerful enemy equipped with advanced weaponry.
Exactly. And through these wars, Geronimo became a symbol of defiance, representing the struggle of native people against external threats. His life was marked by continuous battles, both physical and spiritual, where he constantly had to adapt and strategize. By fighting bravely and leading with conviction, Geronimo left a legacy that transcended the wars, portraying him as a key figure in his people's history of resistance.
After years of intense conflict, there was a brief moment when peace seemed possible. The Apache and the Mexican forces came together at a place called Casa Grandes in Chihuahua to discuss peace. For a brief time, it appeared that both sides were committed to ending the cycle of violence. They even managed to sign a peace treaty, giving hope that relations could improve. But as history often shows, things can change quickly, and promises may not be kept.
Yes, indeed. The truce seemed promising, but it turned out to be a trap. Once the ink on the treaty was dry, the Mexicans brought out mezcal to celebrate. Believing that the end of the hostilities was near, the Apache participated in the celebration, letting their guard down. Unfortunately, their trust was broken. In their inebriated state, many Apache fell victim to a surprise attack orchestrated by the Mexican soldiers, leading to a terrible betrayal.
Geronimo fortunately managed to escape this sudden twist of fate, barely avoiding capture or worse. The ambush not only caused serious losses for the Apache, but also put an abrupt end to the fragile peace they had hoped for. It became clear that betrayal could come from those who had seemed to offer friendship. This experience left Geronimo and his band in a weakened state, forcing them to reassess their strategies and take a temporary pause in their raids.
But the world around them was changing rapidly, and new threats were on the horizon. The peace with the Mexicans was shattered, and meanwhile, the American presence was growing. Geronimo's leadership was tested once again as he had to balance the fight for survival with the emergence of new challenges. Despite these setbacks, Geronimo's resolve remained unshaken, and he continued to lead his people through these uncertain times, proving time and again his dedication to their cause.
So, as we reach the end of our journey through the life of Geronimo, it's important to reflect on his enduring legacy. Despite his past, his story shows the strength to stand against overwhelming odds. It reminds us that history is often complex, with many layers to uncover. Geronimo's life tells a story of conflict, resilience, and the struggle to preserve a way of life that was under threat.
Absolutely. His story urges us to study Native American history more closely and consider those voices that often go unheard. With that in mind, we hope you found today's episode insightful. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe to our podcast. Leave your comments too. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Stay tuned, as more incredible stories are coming your way.